And we're back. So when we last left off, we had just made that trip to Venderbite, done a little bit of stuff turning in some port reports. I think it's about time to visit the university. The university has an inexhaustible appetite for secrets, Z specimens, and other tidbits of esoteric lore. Provide a secret to prove yourself worthy of entry. Oh yes, the university's maritime liaison whispers breathily. Oh yes, this is quite a tasty one. Let me explain it to you. He explains, teeth glinting. The alarming scholar is mercurial, to say the least, a creature of sudden moods and provoking teeth. Possibly her, is it her? Appointment as university maritime liaison was precautionary to keep his razor-sharp enthusiasm from causing too many injuries in the faculty. Ah yes, the scholar whispers breathily. I have a budget for acquisitions. What have you brought me? Alright, so here's where we could trade various secrets and things that we find. We haven't found any yet, but in the future we can definitely do that. Let's take a look at our journal here. See what sorts of objectives we have. Guider's Mourn. Alright. Let's see. Whatever happened with that person that we accepted aboard? Oh well, I'm sure I'll figure it out at some point. So right now we have a ton of fuel, we have a bunch of food. So let's go ahead and set out, see if we can find Guider's Mourn. Let's also turn off this tutorial real quick. We don't need that. Now one thing we can do is we can send out this exploratory sea bat here to scout around. It'll let us know if there are islands nearby, and we can mark them on our map like that. I'm just going to run away from this thing. Since we're here, we might as well stop in and get a port report. Of course, the bearded watchman tells you, there are no actual shepherds on the Shepherd Isles. Sheep are mostly illegal here. No, indeed, it's just the name of the gentleman that founded the Isles. Greybeard, sitting in the village square, nods solemnly. No sheep, one says, but plenty of tales. Ask us anything. Let's see. What sorts of tales? Well, first, let's get a port report. In the bleak light of false stars, surface roiling like porridge pot, up with a roar of steam and flash of fire, 3 widows swim in tentacles, and then we saw His Highness. There's a rather lot of this material. Engage an officer, the sigil-ridden navigator. Let me guide your ship. I know all the Z, how it was, how it will be. Please. The headaches only stop when I'm working. Thank you. The nonsense here was a distraction for a while, but only the Z can help me now. My god, the air. It's clearer already. Let me chart a course for you. Okay, so we have a guy with headaches as our first officer. +6 mirrors and +3 veil. It's pretty good. Let's get Tales of the Standing Stones. The bearded villagers are happy to talk about the local sites. Well, site. A long way from home. You've heard of the Pillared Sea, where Irem lies? A wise man from Irem came here, 80 years ago. He planted 3 pillars. They were as big as fingers when I were young. Now they're as you see them. In my son's time, they'll be as big as dock cranes. I got a memory of a distant shore. Okay, well I guess that's all that we can do here for now. Let's move on. Guider's Mourn is usually somewhere over here to the east. I think it's usually southeast, but I could be mistaken. Station 3 is some distance to the south. Yeah, we'll stop by there. The combat thing triggers automatically whenever we're in range of an enemy, but I don't know why it did it there. Station 3. We may infer a Station 1 and a Station 2. We may conjecture a Station 4. Machinery hums behind high steel walls. Up the hill there are visible outlines of warehouses and a building with a spire, but the lamps are low where they burn at all, and your ship the only one in harbor. Alright, let's train our telescope on the shore. Church or something else? You stand on the high point of your ship and look to shore. There's a steepled building on the horizon, by far the largest thing in sight. No cross marks the top of it, nor any other symbol you can recognize. And search for signs of other visitors. It never hurts to know what you are up against. Ironmonger's tools. Stacked near the stairs is a pile of worn-out tools. Tongs whose hinges have given way, a hammer whose head is coming loose from its haft, an anvil whose surface is mazed with deep cracks. So we succeeded in that challenge and we gained fragments. Fragments, we get these for exploring and doing things, and they're sort of like experience, and they'll transmute into secrets after a time when you collect enough of them. We're still good on our fuel and supplies, so let's keep going. Okay, we found the Khanate. So I'm going to go ahead and speak to my gunnery officer. Let's ask her what she wants from life. Khan's shadow. It's like the flit at sea, right? No one to tell you what to say or do, and no one to kick you downstairs just because you got a little bit tall. I'll be a faithful officer, but put me ashore at the shadow and I won't forget you. The reason I did that is because we are very close to Khan's shadow right now, so we can go ahead and drop this gunner off and get a better one at some point in the near future. Here we go, Khan's Glory. A place of stately isolation, Khan's Glory. Here are the palaces of the Khan and his court, each a fortress to itself. Sleek lords and ladies in belted robes breakfast on balconies. An unlikely antelope peeks at you from a park. Guns rotate easily on motorized gimbals. There's not a lot we can do here right now. Cruise past the clan palaces. Khan's Glory has a steely beauty, but the clan lords are ever suspicious of spies, and those gun emplacements are vigilant. Strength and brilliance. Light blazes from every gate and window. You glimpse guards in gleaming uniforms, subterranean gardens of mauve and purple, hanging ornaments of scaled cornelian and jade, statues of warrior Khans past. The water is dark and calm. The sentries watch you with distrust. Okay, so we lost some terror, we gained a memory of distant shores. Let's see. What else can we do here? Take a meeting concerning a matter of no importance. A servant of the Taimen is missing. His loss is a danger. This is a place one doesn't speak of. Officially, a former servant of the Taimen, who did not engage in the gathering of strategic information, did not disappear to the Untersee port of Onth, which officially does not exist. At length, you hear what the servant did not look like, and strict prohibitions against pursuing him. Officially, no one in Khan's glory would have any interest, or be at all inclined to reward you with money and connections, if you were to go to Anth. They would not care for a report on his situation, or any information he may be unable to bring home. Alright, so that's all we can do here for now. So the Khanate is sort of the chief rival of London. And I assume it's just from the name and some of the aesthetics that it's a sort of Asian-inspired place. Whoops. Khan's Heart, London's rival. An oasis of light in the salt-black wastes. Canals thread the painted city, street lamps glow, and water taxis putter. Let's see. Let's try to gather a port report. This is a modest challenge. Your veil's quality gives you a 62% chance of success. We failed. The Khanate generally assumes that all foreigners are spies or worse. It would be a shame to disappoint them, but it might be dangerous to prove them right. Eyes everywhere. Your listeners meet your questions with courteous, frightened silence. The back of your neck prickles. Don't turn around. I mean, we can try it again. There we go. Precious scraps. Rivalry between the Leopard and Eagle clans. The concerns about Shelenate raids. Some appalling gossip about the traitor Empress back in London. Perhaps you shouldn't write that last one down. And move on quickly. The fellow in the corner has an informer's look. There's probably not much else we could really do here right now. Yeah. This is a place for a little bit later in the game, really, but getting the port report early on isn't bad. Plus we can drop off our gunner and hopefully replace her with a better one soon. And over here is Khan's Shadow. The city that swam. Long ago, the Khanate turned its back on its warrior traditions. It has no place for pirates and would-be nomads. So here, in the shadow, the exiles make their home amid 100 wrecked, grounded, decommissioned ships. Let's let our gunner go. I'm no more good to you, Captain. I've got the scent of freedom now, and I'm for the city of broken ships. A profitable parting. So I've got a confession to make. I've been moonlighting in the old trade. Not aboard ship. I'd never steal from a shipmate, Captain, I swear. She winks. But a port here, a port there. Here's some of my haul, and thanks. She hands you a collection of clinking objects wrapped in cloth, shoulders a bundle, and, whistling, hurdles the rail to land in a rusting coal barge. She's gone. So we got 2 outlandish artifacts, a casket of sapphires, an ambiguous eolith, a hunting trophy, and 3 drowning pearls. That is a lot of stuff. We get a port report here. Conniving, debauching, speechifying, drinking, singing, speeching, poeting. Now and then a drunken duel, very occasionally a savage ritual murder. Alright, so I bet Guider's Morn is somewhere more northerly. Northerly? That's not the right word. North. Sea of Lilies is some distance to the northeast. I don't really feel like making that detour right now. Our supplies are getting somewhat low. Oh, actually, this is going to be a nice and lucrative trip, it looks like, because these are the salt lions. We'll see why in a second. The salt lions. There's a vast sorrow in their empty eyes. Two basalt beasts, cathedral-sized, they frown eternally at each other across the black waves. The north one carries an encampment. Creeping human figures eat away at its features like rot, picking. There's a supply dock below. Let's visit the Unmakers. Muscular pick-wielders rest on camp stools, watching you approach, passing hip flasks around. An unctuous overseer beckons you to sit. Frugal tisane and tea cakes. We get funding from the bazaar, it's true, but Station 4? I wouldn't call us Station 4. It's a little grandiose. The stones are stuffed with secrets, but most of them are used as garden statuary or occult ballast. Most of them. Some go down to the places under the bazaar. More tea cakes? Nice, lost some terror. We can compile a port report. Notes for the Admiralty. Record the activities of the Unmakers, such as they are. Rite of Stone and Silence. And here's the good stuff. Carry Sphinx Stone to London. The Unmakers are here to reduce the sea lion to rubble, one block at a time. Help them in their work by carrying the rubble back to London, which takes 20 cargo units. We have 30 available. If the stones weep, an Unmaker advises you, ignore them. Unless they fled your hold, of course. Then you should probably drop them overboard. Don't tell anyone I said that. So we paid 200 Echo as a deposit, but we'll get a bunch more when we go to London. And this is just a nice straight shot to the west. Really no more detours to be had either, since we're getting pretty low on our supplies and our fuel. And we're home. We collect messages from the Harbor Master. Something has changed in the Neath. Someone wants to sign on. The blind bruiser attends to business on the dock. A little proposal. Good evening, citizen, and what a marvelous evening it is if you don't mind my saying so. And given it's my impression you are an obliging sort, I imagine you will not mind at all. And since you are so very obliging, perhaps you wouldn't mind making a little detour via Mount Palmerston with a few articles of cargo, if you happen to be in the area. The cheery man will, of course, cover your expenses for this trifling inconvenience. Sure, we'll take the commission. If you would be so kind to deliver this little gift to our friends at Mount Palmerston, then they will see we gets to hear about it. And when you come back, we'll cover your expenses. Bon voyage, as my aunt, who is French by birth, if not by inclination, used to like to say. So we now have a unstamped crate of brilliant souls, a crate of exceptional human souls. It has never known the tender touch of the Imperial Customs stamp. Consequently, it cannot be sold on the open market, and you better not be caught with it. Sure, let's go and turn in those Sphinx stones. Sign. Here's a receipt. Here's a discretion contract. Here's a penalty contract. Your vision is blurred by the end of it all. The cart rumbles off into the coiling fog. Here's your reward. 500 Echo. We've lost 2 terror. Nice. Consider a specialist surgeon. She is staying at a respectable boarding house near the docks and has made it known that she is available for work. I specialize in amputations. It's easy to acquire unwanted appendages at Z. Let's take her on for 30 Echo. Welcome aboard. She comes with a bag full of knives and her own personal sharpening stone. Don't touch these. Don't let anyone else touch them. We now have the clattery air as our surgeon. She gives us +1. She gives us hearts +6 and iron +6, which is pretty dope. Let's head to London, see if we can recruit another officer. Nope, not yet. We can go to the Admiralty's office and turn in some of these port reports. Let's see. So here's the one for the Shepherd Isles. We can try to submit it as fact, which, even though it was weird. We do hear some peculiar tales of that place. Good heavens, here is your payment. This is quite extraordinary. I must rush this upstairs immediately. We succeeded in that challenge. Got 50 echoes, some favor, and some fuel. Station 3. Excuse me, just let me call a colleague in. Omitted. This is my colleague, Mr. Villain, of the Ministry of Public Decency. Mr. Villain, this good captain's report is here. If you would care to... Yes, the fire is already lit. Let us... There we go. Now only ashes remain, and it might have caused such a lot of trouble. Thank you, Captain. We appreciate your discretion. Here is your payment. You need not trouble yourself further in this affair. Here's 100 echo, more favors and fuel. Let's do Khan's heart. Been to the salt steppes, eh? Yes, this kind of material is always of interest. How a nation could be so barbarian and so decadent at once is beyond me, but they're terribly dangerous. A lot more echoes. Khan's shadow. Oh, these are always fun. Come on, let's hear it. Report submitted. Other officials gather around to hear your tales of bloodshed and debauchery and the jokes about the Khan that the shadow produces so efficiently and so entertainingly. The one about the Khan and the donkey produces a roar of patriotic laughter and encourages the deputy recorder to unlock the departmental drinking cabinet. Alright. The Salt Lions. The Bazaar has always taken an interest in that place. And I believe that that is it for those. I think it's worthwhile to trade in early secrets to the Alarming Scholar to build up some reputation and stuff. So we'll do this. A Memory of Distant Shores. A piquant piece of picturesque pilgrimage. Wells of emotion. As the Alarming Scholar listens, tears well in the depths of those shimmering, or is it blazing, eyes. They overflow, splashing onto the desk blotter. Stop, she sobs at last. This is too beautiful. Allow me to bring the macaw of memories. I wish each individual tone recalled. Got 10 echoes, and our favors antiquarian is increasing. We'll turn in an ambiguous eolith. A relic. Oh, I see the nap marks clearly, and rather think it was no human hand that shaped this either. Something from before. Or at least I like to think it, and that's what's most important. Alright, our favors antiquarian is increased up to 2. We got 70 echoes for that. And let's do one of the outlandish artifacts. Shaped by hands unknown in London. A careful scrutiny. We have something like that, he declares. But not very like that. Interesting. I have some ideas about suitable fees. And there's 100 echoes. And our reputation is increasing. I don't want to trade in the other artifact or memory right now, though. We can probably get more later on, but it's always useful to have these sorts of things around. Let's see. We don't really need to rest. Our terror is really low. We're not wounded. Let's check out the Merchant Venturer. Now this guy, we're probably not going to be able to do much stuff for them right now, but what they'll do is they sort of help us with trading. If you recall, we filled the hold with all that coffee and made barely a bit of profit. There are trade routes you can run like that in this game. Some of them are, a lot more lucrative than that, but still in general, it's kind of a pain in the ass. But this merchant will sometimes specify goods that they're looking for, and they'll tend to pay double what you pay for them, which is pretty awesome. So, parabola linen... And what's the other one? Stygian ivory. I wonder, actually. Let's see. How much Bravo linen did they want? I think it was 7. Let me try something. There's a city not too far to the south, which is a pretty wild place, but sometimes we can have access to their merchants. And I believe that they typically do sell parabola linen, so let's check this out. Here we go, the Iron Republic. The Iron Republic, Hell's client state. Be wary. Their laws are not the laws of man or nature. Factory engines roar like false lions. Blood thunders in the dock pipes. Crimson lightning skitters across the deck, leaps to the rail, curls there like a cat. The city is reflected in glassy, calm harbor water. The citizens there have the heads of dogs and serpents. Hell has brought freedom to the Iron Republic, freedom from all laws, even those of nature. There's an officer, the irresponsible cannoneer. Citizen, are you looking for a gunner? I'm looking for a ship. Here are my references. Here are more references. Here's my design for a whistling shell. Here's my colleague. He'll stay on shore. Here's my hand. Will you take it? Welcome aboard. Oh, this is interesting. Room for improvement? There's always room for improvement. Wait, let me make notes. Paper. So we now have a new gunnery officer. And this guy gives us +8 iron, which is a lot more than our previous gunnery officer gave us +1, so that's handy. Market of Hungers, the Parliament of Flies. The Market of Hungers with its spires and sigils. Is it a parody of the bazaar? Today, the flies fill its arcades. Buzz, buzz. Visit the shops tab. Alright, there we go. We can get 7 bales of parabola linen and take those back to London. And while we're here, let's try to compile a port report. It won't be entirely straightforward. The streets won't lie straight, and the ink freezes whenever you look away from the inkwell. New passions. The sensations of the Republic are overwhelming. This is a desire for years. That is a hatred for fountains. Here is an emotion that can only be expressed mathematically. Now you are awash with a nostalgia for the hatching of the egg. Write it down. Write it all down. Perhaps you'll be rid of it. We also got A Tale of Terror and Memories of Distant Shores. The Parliament of Flies is open for business. And that's all the stuff that we already had. Alright. We're going to head back north, and we'll stop by that other city that we saw on the way down. We also get these little updates in our logbook, but they come so frequently that I'm not going to read them all. The Cumean Canal staging area. Here, the dark waters run down from the surface, from a brighter sea. The canal ascends through locks and gates and shadowed turns to the sunlight of the surface. Let's listen for surface gossip. Daylight. This would be a prime spot for a pub or wine shop, but the interests of the Echo Bazaar and the laws of London prevent it. They don't like competition. Still, there are temporary half-legal hostelries in the long-moored ships. Here, you trade stories with suntanned surface sailors, stories of Paris and Batavia, the lost fires and the final isles. We got a vision of the surface. We'll get a port report. Business as usual. The gates open and shut. The locks remain free from sabotage. If anywhere besides London is safe in all the Untersee, it's here. The surface nations have an interest in keeping it that way. Alright, back to London. So let's get messages. Something has changed in the Neath. Someone wants to sign on. And that's pretty much it for now. Let's visit this guy. Something forlorn. You can find it in Irem or Dreams. I don't know which is easier to find. Actually, they sell it down at Wolfstack, but where's the romance in that? Or the profit? 700 echoes for 7 bales. So we paid, what, 53 per bale? So that's a pretty substantial margin. That's almost 350 echoes profit. Nice. We've also improved our relationship with this guy. He has a request, speak to him further. Okay, so he opens up new ones. So, romantic literature and bolts of spider silk. Okay. Let's see, did we have anything new for the scholar? No. Well, we have 2 port reports for the Admiralty. The dark spectacled Admiral. You're ushered into his office off Mansion's Pyre. A cramped room with a vast desk. He surveys you across that desk. Ah, yes, the merchant captain of whom we hear such complicated things. Let's do some port reports. The Cumean Canal. Well, if you've been there, I suppose we may as well hear about it. The fee is nominal, though. And the Iron Republic. Excuse me, I need to unlock this. And this. Oops, and this. Could you place your report inside? Yes, I imagine someone will read it eventually. There's always someone. Wait, this is blank. Yes, both sides. No, I assure you. No, I know. These things happen in the Republic. Consider this an ex gratia payment to cover your costs. Alright, I believe that's all we have for him. Let's see who wants to join on. Who awaits your attention? I think right now I'll go with the Carnelian Exile. She's actually probably my favorite NPC in the game. Citizen, I know the way. Let me show you. Welcome aboard. Here I am. A ship, I suppose, is both always here and never there, because there becomes here. We already have a first officer, but we can still keep other people on board. I'm going to keep with this guy as my first officer because he gives me those veils, which I'm trying to use. Every time I turn off my light and try to sneak past enemies, the veils helps with that, so... I doubt we can get the other person. No, we can't. Alright. Well, I think that that is a good leaving off point for now. So I'll go ahead and leave it there.